Hello everyone, this is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Today is an English vocabulary lesson and it's all about 7 ways to use the word deal. So, in this lesson you will learn the 4 meanings of deal as a noun and then the irregular form of deal as a verb, and then we will look at 3 meanings of deal as a verb. Okay, so deal can be a noun and a verb, and we'll look at both of those. So let's start with this. So deal as a noun, part 1. The first meaning is an agreement or arrangement between 2 people. Example. Jane says, "If you cook, I will wash the dishes." And Mark says, "Okay, it's a deal. It's a deal." Okay, so it's a deal. It means yes, okay. It's a bit like a contract. It's an agreement between 2 people. And we can also say that Mark and Jane have made a deal. Made a deal. So we say to make a deal. This is the present perfect. But in the present we would say to make a deal with someone. To make a deal with someone. Okay, so it means to come to an agreement with someone. David says, "Can I borrow your car?" And John replies, "Well, you can borrow my car if you pay for the petrol." And David says, "Okay, that's fine. It's a deal." Okay, it's a deal. You can also say, "Okay, you have a deal. You have a deal." And that means, okay, yes, I agree to your terms. There is an agreement. I agree. Okay? So here we can say, David and John have made a deal. Okay, they have made a deal. Meaning number 2, a business agreement or arrangement between companies. Okay, so this is similar to meaning 1, but this time we are talking about business. Amazon has a deal with Apple to sell their products online. Okay, so Amazon has a deal, so this means Amazon and Apple, they have an agreement or arrangement. It's like a business relationship. Okay, so they have a deal. Okay, to sell their products online. Another example, a very common example in the sporting industry, the football player has a sponsorship deal with Nike. So Nike, of course, is the manufacturer of the football boots, and the football player has a sponsorship deal with Nike. So a sponsorship deal is when a football player, it's an agreement with a company. And the agreement is that the football player is paid to wear Nike boots. And in exchange, the football player is giving publicity and is promoting these shoes. It's free advertising for Nike, and the football player gets free shoes and often some money. Okay, so we call that a sponsorship deal. Number 3. Simply a deal or a good deal. And this means a low price for a product or service. I bought this phone for only £100. It was a good deal. It was a good deal. We can also say, I got a good deal. I got a good deal. That means you bought something that was cheap, that was good value. Okay? A good deal. And we can also, this is an expression, but the meaning is very different. We can say a good deal of something. or a great deal of something. Okay, so this is actually a quantifier. Okay, a quantifier. So it means both of them it's the same meaning. It's the same meaning. And the meaning is a large amount of something. A lot of something. Okay, a large amount of something. So here is an example for me. This is a true story. I have been teaching English since 2004. So I have a good deal of experience. I have a good deal of experience. So this simply means I have a lot of experience. I have a large amount of experience. Okay? Example number 2. Mark spends a great deal of his time in London. Mark spends a great deal of his time in London. So this simply means Mark spends a lot of time in London. And another example, you need a good deal of money to buy a yacht. You need a good deal of money to buy a yacht. This simply means you need a lot of money to buy a yacht. Okay? Now let's look at deal as a verb. And we will start with the form. So the first thing to understand is that deal is irregular. Let's look at the present tense. Oh, sorry, first let's look at, of course, the pronunciation. Deal, deal. It's the same pronunciation as a noun. The noun and the verb, it's the same pronunciation. Deal. So the present simple, this is okay, this is normal, this is regular. So I deal, you deal, he, she, or it deals with an S, don't forget. We deal, you deal, they deal. Okay, so that's perfectly regular, that's normal. But the past simple and past participle are irregular. So the past simple is dealt. Look at the spelling, D-E-A-L-T. Okay, but the pronunciation, we don't say dealt. Dealt is wrong, we say dealt. Dealt. So look very carefully at the pronunciation. Okay, dealt. And the past participle is also dealt. Same spelling, D-E-A-L-T, same pronunciation. Okay. So now let's look at the meaning of deal as a verb. Meaning number 1. A very common meaning is to deal cards. So this means to distribute cards to players, or to give cards to players. So cards, I'm talking about playing cards, like poker or blackjack, for example. So at the beginning of each game of poker, someone gives all the cards out to people at the table. So here is a good photograph of this. He is dealing the cards. Okay, so this action here of putting the cards on the table and giving them, distributing them to the players, that is called dealing. Okay, so he's dealing the cards to the players. And this is, of course, the first one is the present continuous. And here we have an example of the past simple. He dealt the cards. Okay, so we could perhaps say yesterday he dealt the cards in the casino. Okay. And the person, we also have another word. This is a noun, in fact. This is a noun, dealer. And this is the person who deals the cards. So this person here, this gentleman here, we call him a dealer. Okay? And a dealer who works in a casino, specifically in a casino, we can also call them a croupier. Croupier. And I believe that's a French word. But we borrow that word from French and we use it in English. But the general word is dealer. Okay, so the dealer deals the cards. Number 2. And this is a common one that you hear, unfortunately, in the news a lot, to deal drugs. This means to buy and sell drugs. And of course, it is illegal to deal drugs. So don't do it. Okay, so to deal drugs. And the person who buys and sells them is called a dealer, a drug dealer. So the drug dealer deals drugs. Number 3, to deal with something. This is a very useful expression, very, very common. You often hear this in business. So it means to take responsibility for something. And it's often a problem. So there's a problem and you take responsibility for it. To manage a difficult situation or problem. And most importantly, to take action to solve a problem. Okay. Let me give you 2 examples. Very common in an office situation. Here is a printer. And of course, printers never work properly, do they, in an office? Printers are always breaking down. So Mark says to his manager, the printer isn't working. And the manager says, don't worry, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. So the manager is saying, don't worry, I will take action to solve this problem. Okay, I will manage the situation. Okay, don't worry, I will take responsibility for it. Okay, I will solve the problem, is what the manager is saying here. We can also say, I will take care of it. I will take care of it. That's a very similar expression. Let's look at another example. Jane says, the car is dirty. It needs to be cleaned. David says, okay, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll deal with it tomorrow. So again, the same meaning. I will take action with this problem tomorrow. In other words, I will wash the car tomorrow. Okay? Or I will organize it so that the car is washed by someone. Okay, so to deal with something, it's to deal with a problem. And it's often it here refers to the problem, in fact. Okay, it is, yes, I'll deal with the problem tomorrow. Okay? So there we are. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you're preparing for the IELTS exam, then click here for information about our course. And here are some other videos that I recommend you watch.